If you're looking for the latest news and rumors around the NFL, you are in the right place. Mitchell Renz from Chat Sports, ready to break everything down for y'all. We're going to talk about a lot of free agents, but I got to start the show off with Aaron Rodgers, and even though I shaved my mustache, this is one hell of a mustache right here. The report is this: Rodgers called Packers general manager Jerry Krause in a group text. Let me just say this, okay? There's like a whole bunch of crap going on around Rodgers right now, trade rumors, this and that. If somebody were to take my phone and look at group texts that I've sent, I'd be in a lot of trouble too. This story, I think, is really starting to blow up out of proportion a little bit. But for Rodgers, we know he wants to be traded. Brett Favre and other people are out there saying, man, I don't think he's going to end up coming back. Something that really started out kind of minor in my opinion, but you can go all the way back to when Green Bay traded up for Jordan Love. That's when all these rumors started happening. So if I'm going to point the finger and put blame on somebody, I'm actually going to point blame at the Green Bay Packers because guess what? You kind of messed up. So here's what Brett Favre had to say today about Rodgers' future. Boy, it's a good question. That's the million-dollar question. I think I know Aaron fairly well, and honestly, I just don't see him coming back and just saying, all right, let's just bury the hatchet, whichever or whatever caused the rift, and I'm just going to come back and play because I love you guys. I love the Green Bay fans. I assume he does, but his rift isn't with the fans or the players. It's with the front office. We'll just swallow his pride and come in? Maybe, but I don't see that happening. If there's not a trade, my gut tells me that he'd rather sit out than play. That's just my gut. There's no reason for me to say that other than that's my gut telling me, and I think that you know Aaron fairly well enough to sort that he probably feels the same way. So those are some pretty interesting words there from Brett Favre. So here's my question to the entire Chat Sports audience right now. Is Aaron Rodgers done with the Green Bay Packers? I want you to give me a Y for yes, or I want you to type N for no. If you are going to say Y for yes, be an overachiever. Tell me a team that you think he could potentially go to, because there's a lot of teams out there that would be like, okay, I'll take Aaron Rodgers, the NFL MVP, the bad man that threw for 48 touchdowns, 5 interceptions when his team did absolutely nothing to help him in the draft. Yeah, I'll go out and get that guy. So Y for yes, N for no. Is Aaron Rodgers done in Green Bay? And I'm looking at the live chat right now. And reminder, if you're not watching this live, you can join us every single Monday and Wednesday, 4 p.m. Eastern Time, 1 p.m. Pacific, because there's a lot of yeses in that chat. Let's go to the next story here on NFL Daily. It's around Richard Sherman potentially going to the New York Jets. Okay, I'm listening. Bleacher Report wrote a fun little article around some of these top free agents and where they could potentially go. The prediction: Richard Sherman is going to end up heading to the New York Jets. So Sherman's been in talks with New York for over the last few months. There's a lot of teams obviously interested in the one player who I'll say back in 2019 probably was the best corner in all of football. The other reason why this Jets connection makes sense is because, I mean, let's face it, old 49ers offensive coordinator Robert Saleh, he is now the head coach of the New York Jets. So if you're Richard Sherman, you're like, wait a minute, why not potentially go back with somebody that I know I've had success with in the past? Sure, he's over 33 years old. He said he wanted to be able to go and sign somewhere after the NFL draft. Now he has an opportunity to do that. But Sherman did say earlier this week that, hey, there's some teams that he mentioned that he could go to potentially. Those teams, the Las Vegas Raiders, the New York Jets, 49ers, Saints, and the Seahawks. I don't know if the Raiders go ahead and do it since they just signed Casey Hayward. So now if it's down to these 4 teams here, if I'm a betting man, which I am, I might go ahead and say the New York Jets make the most sense. But if you don't think I make any sense, you're like, no, man, the Jets, that doesn't make any sense. Go down in the comments section right now and let me know. The other reason why New York does make some sense to me, not only is it a need, they have money to spend. So they got some money to be able to go with. So where will Richard Sherman play in 2021? Pittsburgh Steelers news and rumors coming at you here. Mitchell Renz from Chat Sports. Brian Poole, is he headed to the Steel City? Bleacher Report wrote an article about going out and finding some potential free agents, and he had predicted that Brian Poole was going to end up signing with the Pittsburgh Steelers. Remember, we're going to go back in our time machine a little bit, not too far, but they released Steven Nelson earlier this offseason, which then created a little bit of a need, especially at the nickel position. The Steelers, they didn't address the cornerback position in the draft whatsoever. They went with Najee Harris in round 1, and that might have been a pretty big need for them. Sure, some of the cornerbacks ended up sliding down the board, but at the end of the day, if you're Pittsburgh, okay, and you have an opportunity to go out and get Brian Poole, hell, I might say this to all the NFL teams out there. The man's only 28 years old, and over the last 3 years, I can make an argument that he's been a top 10, top 15, nickel cornerback. He gives you a lot of versatility. Last season, he didn't play in as many games. He was dealing with a little bit of an injury, but still was able to put up 44 tackles, 2 interceptions, and 7 pass breakups. The other reason why I like Poole a lot is because the Jets asked him to do a lot. And as soon as they decided to move on from a guy like Jamal Adams, that put a lot more pressure on a guy like Poole, and it also put a lot more pressure on a guy like Marcus May. They decided to keep May, which now leaves Poole out there just kind of swimming around. Will he end up with the Steelers? Bad joke? Maybe. Here's the Steelers' defensive back depth chart as it stands. You got Joe Hayden, Lane, but where I'm really looking at here is Sutton, because no disrespect to him, he's not nearly as good as Brian Poole. And if the Pittsburgh Steelers want to stay relevant in this division, they have a good defense. I mean, that defense totally transformed after the Fitzpatrick. I mean, they got a good safety as well in Edmonds. But what we saw last season is this. And no disrespect to the Steelers fans out there. Big Ben is a little bit washed up at this point. And if they want to be able to win football games, they need a great defense. The Ravens are getting better. The Browns are getting better. The Bengals will continue to get better. So if you have an opportunity to go out and get one of the top 10 best free agents left on the board, and I'm not afraid to say that I actually might put him even in my top 5, because at the end of the day, he can give you so many different things on the defensive side of the football. So for all you Pittsburgh Steelers fans out there, I want you to go down in the comments section right now, and if you just stumble across this video and you're not a fan of the Steelers, that's cool too. Help me out. Where will Brian Poole play in 2021? I want you to go down in the comments section and try to figure it out. Does he end up signing with the Steelers? Obviously, if they didn't go ahead and draft somebody, then maybe they could go with, a Sherman. Maybe there's some other players potentially out there that they see being a good fit in Pittsburgh. I'll say this right now. I think Poole, he's a tough dude. He's a gritty guy, and the fact that he can move all over the football field, this is going to give the Steelers a little bit here. So where will Poole end up playing in 2021? I want you to go down in the comments section and let me know. If you love the NFL, then subscribe to Chat Sports for more free videos. Who out there likes free? If you do, type me down there in the comments section. If you also like NFL videos for free, then go ahead and subscribe. The link is below, youtube.com/chatsportstv. And are you hitting that? This right here. You hitting that? It's the notification bell. So if there's breaking news that happens, like, I don't know, Aaron Rodgers gets traded, don't be the guy 2 weeks from now looking at your phone and be like, hey, did you guys hear Aaron Rodgers is traded? And then your buddy Sam's like, dude, get it together. I subscribe to Chat Sports. Be that guy. Subscribe to Chat Sports. More free videos. Hit the big red button that says subscribe. Is Justin Houston on his way to the Baltimore Ravens? We're breaking everything down here around Baltimore on Chat Sports. In an article, it had Houston linked to, guess who? The Ravens. The report that we've heard from, I'll say about 2 weeks at this point, is that the Ravens and Houston, they have some mutual interest. And am I really surprised by this? No, not really. Houston met with Baltimore in mid-April. That's when a lot of these rumors around Houston potentially ending up in Baltimore. That sounds kind of weird. City ending up in Baltimore. But that's when all this stuff really started to, get some legs here. And if I'm an NFL team and I'm looking for a veteran pass rusher, the name for whatever reason that gets thrown out there a lot is Melvin Ingram. And I don't want to sit here and, rip on Ingram, because that's not what this video is about. But I would much rather have Justin Houston at this point than a guy like Ingram. I mean, he's coming off another 8-sack season. This dude, I was going to say just eats up sacks, but I don't even know if I can say that on a video. 6'3", 270 pounds, 32 years old. He has been a very reliable option for that Indianapolis defense. And when you go all the way back to even his time with the Kansas City Chiefs, I mean, you're looking at an incredible career here. 134 games, 451 tackles, 117 tackles for loss, 97.5 sacks, 148 QB hits. But it's the fact that he continues to be able to play 16 games. It continues to be the fact that you can look at him and he's a reliable option. And if I'm a football team like the Ravens, which I can't even believe I might say this, they're in the AFC North, which might be the most competitive division in all of football. They actually might even be chasing a team like the Cleveland Browns. So if you can go out and get somebody like Justin, who could also be a great mentor to Odafe, who you just drafted in round 1, I mean, why not potentially do that? Because if you want, Oweh to turn out to be a great edge rusher, I think Justin Houston would be a great mentor to that. Plus, you got to try to replace this guy, Matt Judon, who ended up signing with the New England Patriots. And I like Judon. He was a good player. I personally don't think I would have paid him as much as New England did, but you have to be able to replace the production that this guy gives you. And when you look at Baltimore's defense, I mean, they are probably one of the best, if not the best organization, and being able to find outside linebackers or just linebackers in general and turning them into being something great. If you want to be Justin Houston and you want to take a one-year contract in a year that's kind of, influenced by COVID, you go to the Baltimore Ravens, you ball out again, and then when you hit 2021, this might be your last chance to go out and get a big-time contract. So in terms of mutual interest, in terms of fit, dude, this one makes a lot of sense. But what do you guys think? If you don't care about what I have to say, because I look like I'm 13 years old without my beard, which I totally get, where will Justin Houston end up playing in 2021? I know there's a lot of teams out there that are going to express some interest. I'm actually going to say Baltimore. This has been a fit for me that I've said makes a lot of sense, not just this week, not just last week, but going on a month now. So let me know down in the comments section, where will Justin Houston play in 2021? Major shout out to Newsbreak. If you guys haven't heard about them yet, then hey, listen up right now. Who out there likes to stay up to date what's going on in their city? Who out there likes to stay up to date what's going on with the weather? I mean, if you're looking for the latest on politics, food, pop culture, I would imagine you like sports. You're here. And if you want more sports content, go ahead, download the Newsbreak app. Wow, where am I from? Chatsports.com/Newsbreak is the link. It's also in the comments. It's also in the description. But I don't care what your city is. Like, I don't care if you live in Dallas, Texas. I don't care if you live in Minnesota or Las Vegas, Oakland. It does not matter. Head on over to chatsports.com/Newsbreak. Download the app where you can get sports content, politics, and actually even more videos from us. So when you go ahead and download the Newsbreak app, I want you to search for your favorite NFL team. So if you're a Cowboys fan, search Cowboys, then click follow Cowboys report. If you're a Raiders fan, click on search Raiders, follow Raiders report. Bears now. Like, if you know that we have a channel here, go ahead, download the app, and then give us a follow. Chatsports.com/Newsbreak. Geno Atkins potentially heading to the Arizona Cardinals. That's the story up here. Mitchell Renz from Chat Sports. Only played in 8 games last season due to injury. I'm also going to say he only played in 8 games last year because the Cincinnati Bengals didn't want to play their good players, and for whatever reason, you see guys like Carlos Dunlap leaves successful. Geno Atkins played in only 8 games. I guarantee you what, if he goes somewhere, he's going to be a successful player. So in this article here, they basically break down and try to predict where some of these top free agents are going to end up going. They have Geno Atkins going to Arizona. When I first saw that, I was like, I actually don't know if I agree with this fit here. He still offers value on the offensive line. There's no doubt about that. Defensive line, still add some pass rush ability because, not only was he solid back in 2019, you want to talk about numbers for a career, Geno Atkins is right up there. However, you also just went out and got somebody like J.J. Watt to also play on your defensive line, defensive tackle. But if there's one thing that Arizona has been, dude, they've been really ballsy this offseason. They are absolutely going for it. So if you think the 32-year-old Geno Atkins can still help you win football games, I say you go out and do it. I don't know what type of contract he's going to be looking for. I'm going to guess another 1-year smaller deal. That way he can prove himself and then go out and ball out maybe on his last contract he gets. But look at his career stats here, 161 games. It's really hard to be able to find a player who's had this type of production, this amount of games. 383 tackles, 100 tackles for loss, 75.5 sacks, quarterback hits. That's just wild to me, 171. But when you look at the Cardinals' offensive line depth chart, this is pretty fun to me. Chandler Jones had an injury last year, probably one of the most underrated defensive players in all of football. Like, this guy, all he does is get sacks, and yet his name is never mentioned. Then you're going to look at a guy like J.J. Watt. You know what he's going to be able to bring to a football team. He's going to bring that grit. He's going to make people work their freaking tails off. Golden, I'm not as high on him. I would actually rather have Hassan Reddick, but it does make a pretty good replacement for somebody like Reddick. And then Fotu and Allen, 2 good players. But again, if you can add Geno Atkins to this rotation of your interior defensive linemen, that just makes you a lot more special. And then you also have to bring up the fact that, let's face it, that's a damn tough division, the NFC West. You got to be able to figure out, how can I compete with the 49ers, where I got Kyle Shanahan. All that guy wants to do is be able to run the football, and they are going to run the football. You got to be able to stop it. You got the Rams. I mean, now that they got a quarterback, that's a pretty legit team. The Seattle Seahawks, like, you could make a legitimate argument that the Arizona Cardinals, they could win 9 games, 10 games this year. Some of y'all might even say more, and they still might not be the best team in this division. They might be the worst team in the division. That's the craziest thing about it. So for Arizona, they've been doing a good job getting out some of these players, but will Geno Atkins be the next? That's what I'm going to ask y'all. So where will Atkins play in 2021? And if you're out there on the Atkins diet, let me know how it is, because I'll tell you what, man, this 2020 bod, it's just not doing it for me. Let me know where Geno Atkins is going to play in 2021.